Hello home racing fans. Well, just a quick video on using the motor brackets. I've had some questions, so I'm going to do my best to try to answer them. When you order a prefab bracket, which is a perfectly good idea, you need to check them. Sometimes they're not as perfect as they should be. So you can't just assume that they are straight, level, all that. You just have to check them. This one is very, very good. It's a JK bracket. I check it both ways. Not bad at all. Pretty straight, pretty aligned. That's a good bracket. We can work with this. Not a problem. Sometimes, though, we get some that aren't that good. This is one of them that I've labeled bad. As you can see, it's pretty bad. So that's probably too much to overcome with solder. And the other way that you want to check it, not just horizontally like that, is also flip the bracket. And you can definitely see that these have been bent or stamped the wrong way. And that's not going to make a nice chassis. So I'll show you my method on just giving them a little bit of free play, just in case they're a little off. So after checking the bracket, even if it is accurate, I always like to give a little bit of free play. Right now, there is none. 7/32 tube inside here, and there is just no free play. But I like a little bit. So we'll take that out, and good old 7/32 rat tail file inside here. And I just start turning and rotating, adding pressure all around. Just a little bit. You don't want to go too far. Just keep going with it. Just removing a little bit of material. Get back in here. And now there's just a little bit, and we can keep going. But just a little bit goes a long way when we're trying to align the chassis. And I'll show you that. Another thing you might want to check is the openings for the motor. So again, you can't assume they're perfect. So you're going to want to measure between here and the edge, here and the edge, to check for how center it is. Because if it's a little bit left or right, well, that could come into play when you're aligning up your chassis. I'll show you that in just a second. But you want to check that, because sometimes I've had some that are pretty off. You can just see it by eye. But you want to go ahead and check it. The other thing you want to do is you want to check your ears, as I call them, your ends. You want to make sure that they're straight. Again, that's going to come into alignment. I just start with a simple square, and I make sure they're about, as good as they can get before we set it up. So what does all that mean? Well, with mine, I like to put the motor in here, and it helps me with alignment. So if these are off a little bit and you align your motor straight line, everything, it could be shifted left or right depending on how far off those holes are. So basically, you get your axle set up nice and straight, and then you're aligning your motor, and what you're usually trying to do is make sure that everything is even. You can pretty much do this by sight. You could be off a few thousandths, but that's pretty good. Or break out the calipers and really get after it and double check everything. But trying to measure from here to here to here to here to the inside of the wheel, it's very difficult if these holes for your motor are off a little bit. It's just not going to be even. So you're going to have to measure from back here and up here, center your motor shaft, and go from there. But that's why checking these motor mount holes are important. So here's the end result. We're setting up our bracket. I always put my motor on. I'm using the wheels for the car as my setup wheels, and we have it aligned. But what I want you to see is this nice little free play. You have a little bit each way. See it? Just a little bit. and the other way as well. So you can get this set up to where it's nice and perpendicular, the way it's supposed to be, and you can align it the other way. Very, very easy. Move it around. That little bit of free play easily is going to be filled with some solder when you solder the bracket. But that's why I do that, just to give us a little free play, make it easier for alignment.